The experiment. During the next 6 months, make it your business to render useful service to at least one person every day, for which you neither expect nor accept monetary pay. Go at this experiment with faith that it will uncover for you the use of the most powerful laws that enter into the achievement of enduring success, and you will not be disappointed. The rendering of this service will take on any one or more than a score of forms. For example, it may be rendered personally to one or more specific persons, or it may be rendered to your employer in the nature of work that you perform after hours. Again, it may be rendered to entire strangers whom you never expect to see again. It matters not to whom you render this service as long as you render it with willingness and solely for the purpose of benefiting others. If you carry out this experiment in the proper attitude of mind, you will discover that which others who have become familiar with the law upon which it is based have discovered, namely, that you can no more render service without receiving compensation than you can withhold the rendering of it without suffering the loss of reward. Cause and effect, means and ends, seeds and fruit cannot be severed, says Emerson, for the effects already bloom in the cause, and the end pre-exists the means, the fruit in the seed. If you serve an ungrateful master, serve him the more. Put God in your debt. Every stroke shall be repaid. The longer the payment is withholden, the better for you. For compound interest on compound interest is the rate and usage of the exchequer. The law of nature is, do the thing and you shall have the power. But who do not the thing have not the power. Men suffer all their life long under the foolish superstition that they can be cheated. But it is as impossible for a man to be cheated by anyone but himself, as for a thing to be and not to be at the same time. There is a third silent party to all our bargains. The nature and soul of things takes on itself the guarantee of fulfillment of every contract, so that honest service can not come across to loss. Before you begin the experiment that you have been requested to undertake, read Emerson's essay on compensation, for it will go a very long way towards helping you understand why you are making the experiment. Perhaps you have read compensation before. Read it again. One of the strange phenomena that you will observe about this essay may be found in the fact that every time you read it, you will discover new truths that you did not notice during previous readings. A few years ago, I was invited to deliver the graduation address before the students of an Eastern college. During my address, I dwelt at length and with all the emphasis on my command on the importance of rendering more service and better service than that for which one is paid. After the address was delivered, the president and secretary of the college invited me to a luncheon. While we were eating, the secretary turned to the president and said, "I have just found out what this man is doing. He is putting himself ahead in the world by first helping others to get ahead." In that brief statement, he had epitomized the most important part of my philosophy on the subject of success. It is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others to succeed. Some 10 years ago, when I was engaged in the advertising business, I built my entire clientele on the application on the fundamentals upon which this lesson is founded. By having my name placed on the follow-up list of various mail order houses, I received their sales literature. When I received the sales letters or booklets or a folder which I believed could improve, I went right to work on it and made the improvement, then sent it back to the firm which had sent it to me, with the latest letter stating that this was but a trifling sample of what I could do, that there were plenty of other good ideas where that came from, and that I would be glad to render regular service for a monthly fee. Invariably this brought an order for my service. On one occasion I remember the firm was dishonest enough to appropriate my idea and use it without paying me for it. But this turned out to be an advantage for me in this way. A member of the firm who was familiar with the transaction started another business, and as a result of the work I had done for his former associates, for which I was not paid, he engaged me to serve him on a basis that paid me more than double the amount I would have realized from the original firm. Thus the law of compensation gave back to me, and with compound interest added, that which I had lost by rendering service to those who were dishonest. If you were looking for a profitable field of employment today, I could find it again putting into action this plan of rewriting sales literature as a means of creating a market for my own services. Perhaps I would find others who would appropriate my ideas without paying for them, but by and large people would not do this for the simple reason that it would be more profitable for them to deal fairly with me and thereby avail themselves at my continued service. Several years ago I was invited to deliver a lecture before the students of the Palmer School at Davenport, Iowa. My manager completed arrangements for me to accept the invitation under the regular terms in effect at that time, which were $100 for the lecture and my traveling expenses. When I arrived at Davenport, I found a reception committee awaiting me at the depot, and that evening I was given one of the warmest welcomes I had ever received during my public career. Up to that time I met many delightful people from whom I gathered many valuable facts that were of benefit to me. Therefore, when I was asked to make out my expense account so that school could give me a check, I told them that I had received my pay many times over, that which I had learned while I was there. I refused my fee and returned to my office in Chicago feeling repaid for the trip. The following morning Dr. Palmer went before 2,000 students of his school and announced what I had said about feeling repaid for what I had learned, and added, "In the 20 years that I have been conducting this school, I have had scores of speakers address the student body, but this is the first time I ever knew of a man who refused his fee because he felt he had been repaid for his services in other ways. This man is the editor of a national magazine, and I advise every one of you to subscribe for that magazine, because such a man as this must have much that each of you will need when you go into the field and offer your services." By the middle of the week I had received more than $6,000 for subscriptions to the magazine of which I was editor, and during the following 2 years these same 2,000 students and their friends sent more than $50,000 for subscriptions. Tell me, if you can, how or where I could have invested $100 as profitably as this by refusing to accept my $100 fee and thereby setting the law of increasing returns to work in my behalf. We go through two important periods in this life. One is the period during which we are gathering, classifying and organizing knowledge, and the other is that period which we are struggling for recognition. We must first learn something which requires more effort than most of us are willing to put into a job, but after we have learned much of that can be useful service to others, we are still confronted with the problem of convincing them that we can serve them. One of the most important reasons why we should always be not only ready but willing to render service is the fact that every time we do so, we gain thereby another opportunity to prove to someone that we have ability. We go just one more step towards gaining the necessary recognition that we must still all have. Instead of saying to the world, "Show me the color of your money and I will show you what I can do," reverse the rule and say, "Let me show you the color of my service, so that I can take a look at the color of your money if you like my service."